So, today we're going to break down a legal drama that took a full 8 years to reach its conclusion. We're talking about a sentence that could potentially end the career of one of South Africa's most well-known and, let's face it, controversial politicians. This is the whole story of Julius Malema and the firearm case that has kept the country watching. It all came to a head on April 16, 2026. That's the day the leader of the economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, was handed a 5-year prison sentence. For one of the country's most powerful political figures, this was an absolutely seismic verdict. So the big question is, right, how on earth did a single gunshot at what was supposed to be a party lead to a prison sentence that could completely derail a political career? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. You know, this entire legal saga, everything we're about to talk about, it all traces back to one single, very public event that happened nearly 8 years ago. And it was at a moment that was meant to be a huge celebration for his party. Okay, so picture this. It's July 28th, 2018. The EFF is celebrating its 5th birthday at a stadium in Mdantsane. It's packed. And in front of this massive crowd, Julius Malema appears to take a rifle and fires it straight up into the air. That single moment, of course, was caught on video, it went viral everywhere, and that was the shot that kicked off this whole years-long legal battle. And believe me, that one shot triggered a legal process that would just drag on and on for years, slowly making its way through the courts, hitting these key moments that would eventually seal Malema's fate. And this timeline really shows you just how long this whole thing took. I mean, the incident itself was way back in July 2018, but a guilty verdict, that didn't come until October of 2025. Then you had the pre-sentencing arguments in January 2026, and finally the actual sentence in April 2026. This was definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So what exactly was he found guilty of? Well, the prosecution's case really boiled down to these 5 key charges. You've got 2 counts for illegal possession, 1 for the gun itself, and 1 for the ammo. Then the other 3 are all about the act itself. You know, firing a gun in a public space, not taking proper precautions, and just recklessly endangering people. It all paints a picture of a really dangerous and calculated act. All right, so after that guilty verdict came in, the case moved into what is arguably the most important phase, the sentencing. This is where both sides really went at it, arguing over what the consequences should be, with Malema's freedom and his entire political future just hanging in the balance. And when you look at what both sides wanted, it's just night and day. The state came out swinging for the fences, demanding the maximum possible sentence of 15 years. They painted this picture of a super reckless act that could have ended in total tragedy. But the defense? They argued for no jail time at all, saying, hey, this was just a harmless celebratory gesture, and pointed out that he had a clean record. The court was basically looking at 2 completely different versions of reality. But the court was having none of that celebratory argument. Magistrate Twanet Olivier's words were pretty sharp, calling the defense's reasoning nonsensical. As you can see from this quote, she basically said this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. She saw it as a planned-out, premeditated act, the event of the evening. That tells you everything you need to know about how seriously the court took this. So, how did all that add up to the final 5-year sentence? Let's break it down. For the most serious charge, the illegal possession of the firearm, he got 5 years in prison. Then, the other counts added another 2 years, plus our $60,000 in fines. But here's the key part. The judge ordered the prison sentences to run concurrently. That just means they're served at the same time. So the bottom line, the effective sentence is 5 years. Now, a 5-year sentence is a huge deal for anyone, obviously. But why is this one so politically explosive? Well, it all comes down to Section 47 of the Constitution. This right here is the game changer. It basically says that any sentence longer than 12 months without the option of a fine can get you disqualified from being a member of parliament. So all of a sudden, this case wasn't just about jail time. It was about whether Malema could even continue his political career. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Just as the gavel fell on that sentence, a whole new chapter kicked off, one that's all about appeals and a whole lot more legal uncertainty. So Malema's legal team immediately went for an appeal, and the court's decision was really interesting. They completely shut down the appeal against the guilty verdict. The court basically said, look, you are guilty. That part is final. It's not up for debate. But, and this is a big but, they did open the door for an appeal on the 5-year sentence. So the conviction stands, but the punishment, that's still on the table. So what does all this mean for Malema right now? Is he in prison? Nope. He was actually released on a warning while this whole appeals process plays out. And let me tell you, that could be a very long and drawn-out affair. So for now, he remains a free man. And that's where we are today. The saga continues. You have a man who has been found guilty but is free while his sentence is being debated, and his entire political career is just hanging by a thread. The final outcome here isn't just going to decide the fate of Julius Malema. It could set a huge precedent for where South Africa draws the line between political expression and the rule of law. The question really isn't if that line will be drawn anymore, but where.